Greetings, people of the world. I'm Matthew, and I'd like to thank all of you for watching this video. I really appreciate your support for what I'm doing here. So, for my first video here on YouTube, I wanted to do something that I felt was of some very important significance to me. And it's something that I've actually been working on almost every day for 7 months. And so I hope that you appreciate what I did here and all the effort that I put into this work. So what I've done is that I've created a tribute to someone who I feel is the most influential person in my life. And that person is my grandfather, John. And I feel that this is something that was really important for me to do, and so I've been doing everything that I could to put this tribute together, and it took a long time. Like I said, it took 7 months, but believe me, it was worth it to be able to show you the results that I'll get to show you. Before I show you what I've chosen as my means of tribute, however, I want to take the time to explain and talk about my grandfather and why he's such an important influence on me. My grandfather was an immigrant who came from Romania. He was born in Romania in 1923, and then he and his family moved to Germany, and then they moved again to Canada in 1929. He and his family settled in a small farming village in Ontario called Maryhill, and that's where he grew up and became an adult. And so from there, he really learned what it was like to be able to live in Canada, how to be a hard worker, because he lived on a farm in a farming village. And from there, he went into the city, which in his case was the city of Kitchener as an adult, and he spent his entire working career at the old Uniroyal tire plants, and he became one of their most prized workers. He was always willing to put his best foot forward, and of course this was at a time where everyone was wanting to go above and beyond the call of duty to do what was necessary to get the job done, and this was obviously very important for someone like him, as it would have been for anyone at that time. And he always was able to make people very proud to know that they had someone they could count on and that they can trust in to be able to give 100% no matter what it took. So as hard of a worker as my grandfather was, and as respected as he was in that regard, where he made his presence felt the most in one of the ways was, of course, in his family life. Because without him I wouldn't even be alive. He was married, of course, and he had 5 children, 4 elder daughters and a young son, and they also adopted a son for a total of 6 children. And so they all lived together, and he did whatever he could to make their lives happy, working in this big tire plant and making the income that he needed to support his family, all 6 of them, because, yeah, it's a big family. Even back then, 6 children and a husband and a wife was a big family. So since then, he has really made a major impact on his children as well. And they realized just how strong and determined he was, that he was willing to do whatever it took to ensure that they had a roof over their heads and that they had enough to eat and that they could be able to live and work together as a family. And it's something that was honestly very important, that he understood just how important that was to him. The biggest influence that my grandfather had was through his demonstration of his faith. And he was a very spiritual man, and he took his faith very seriously. And one of the ways that he applied this the most was with his involvement with the Knights of Columbus. And this is an organization, a Christian organization, where he took his skills that he had developed as a family man and as a blue-collar worker, and he put it to great use. And he was able to show off some amazing determination within the Knights of Columbus as well. He became a member of the council in his childhood town of Maryhill, and he really became one of the go-to guys. He was one of the most prominent and most influential members of his council, and he was really proud to be able to show just what he could do. He was one of the men that, no matter what was going on at the Knights of Columbus, he would always be there. You could always count on him to help make things run smoothly, help things work successfully. He just loved what he did, and that really showed through what, and its residual effects. He had so much influence, and he made so many of his fellow members proud. It not only applied to involvement within his own council, but also it involved the presence of his time with the Knights of Columbus Honor Guard, which is where he made his biggest impact within the Knights of Columbus. He was a member of that organization in the Knights of Columbus for 30 years. And in there, he really proved that even though he was getting older, he definitely demonstrated that even though he was losing his mobility, even though he was getting older, he was still willing to make an impact, and that really became something that he was known for. And during his time, anybody that was anybody within the Knights of Columbus, within the general area, knew who my grandfather was, and knew that they could count on him to really be a difference maker in their lives. He just really had that effect on people, and they still talk about him today. I mean, when I told his fellow members in the Knights of Columbus Honor Guard what I was doing, they began talking about some of the wonderful things that he did, including his last involvement as a member of the Honor Guard when he was still physically capable of doing so. Even though he had 2 bad legs at this point due to arthritis, and even though he was getting really reduced mobility, he was still willing to go out and be able to be part of the transportation on foot of a religious icon from one town to another one, which was 10 kilometers away, on 2 bad legs. And that really made a lot of people very happy. And obviously, it really made a mark on the Irish gentleman who told the story, because this was something I never knew myself. I'd only seen my grandfather do the service in an honor guard on a couple of occasions, but even then you could tell he was really determined and wanting to be a part of this involvement. And so that obviously influenced on me, because I'm now in the Knights of Columbus and have been for 11 years, and his impact and his influence runs through me as well. And I am the sole bearer of his legacy, and I get to take that with me for as long as I'm alive. So I feel that any way that I can show just how important my grandfather was to the people who knew him, to the people who loved him, I mean, I wanted to take that opportunity and be able to demonstrate it. So I hope that all of you will appreciate the work that I've done to do this tribute, and I hope that you'll all be able to see just what kind of an impact my grandfather made on me, and of course, everyone he ever knew. So I think it's time that I show you just what I have shown and created as my means of tribute. So without further ado, let me show you what I've done.